So, big conversation on the internet. A white American man who spent 22 years living in Jamaica said he only had four positive things to say about Jamaica. And technically, after listening to him, he did not have four. It was less than four because one of the things he considered positive was the fact that he can pay off some of the Jamaican police officers to get away with bad behavior. For example, getting out of a speeding ticket. That is not positive, people. That's a negative. I see a lot of people agree with Bob and some that don't agree. What I've come to realize with us black people worldwide, we listen to fuss, we don't listen to understand, we don't listen to do better because we are mostly emotionally unstable, mentally unfit to act right. It's quite disappointing. I would love to sit here and say everything I've heard from Bob was a big old fat lie. Is that his name? I don't know. But he's a big fat lie. No, it's not a lie because it's factual. Everything that man spoke about was his reality and it's the truth. If we are all going to be honest with ourselves as Jamaican, we know that everything he said is literally the truth. January of this year, 2026, I said to my daughter, we should go to Jamaica and celebrate your birthday again this year. My daughter will be 14 this coming August, okay? And for the last 5 years, I've been going to Jamaica to celebrate her birthday. My daughter told me, no, mommy, I'm not interested. And when I asked why, she said, because no one shows up on time. And it's true, we don't show up on time. The problem is Bob generalized. But I can see how Bob arrived at the point where he arrived because the fact is at least 80% of the Jamaican people function in all the ways that Bob said that we function. And that number is astronomical. It is so huge that it's hard to ignore. You cannot ignore something that is consistent across the board. People, we have to do better. We have to stop listening to fuss. We have to get emotionally stable. We have to start taking responsibility for our action and reaction. We can't keep behaving like this and blaming everyone and everything except for ourselves. We can do better. I bought a map system on St. James Street in Montego Bay and I went there 8 o'clock in the morning to take it back. The store is supposed to open between 8:30 and 9. And when I got there, all the black workers, they were there. 8:15 in the morning. You show up for the white man business, you show up for the China man business, you show up for the Indian man business. But when you show up at the black man business, you come late. You want to leave early and you're rude. You don't respect people that looks like you. You don't show up on time for appointments and things of that nature. And he's right, you're in traffic unaliving people on a daily basis because you leave your house 1 hour late, half hour late, 2 hour late, and then you decide to be hurrying and you started fussing and kicking and screaming, using profanity because, and then again, most of the people who use profanity do not have the intellect to use other words. So that's what they use to subsidize everything. And so you are outrageous. And the constant noise pollution is also not necessary. You blast your music, you pass in a church. You blast your music, you pass in a library. You blast your music, you pass in a burial ground. You blasting your music, passing places and spaces that you weren't supposed to be blasting it and disrupting people. You're blowing your horns here, there, and everywhere. And the jungle justice mentality. Of course, Bob is right. When things happen, you run out and you want to solve it yourself. There are things, of course, where I think, okay, no, the police can't solve this problem. If you know for a fact that a grown man lay himself on a small child, I actually believe that that thing needs to be fixed. Because you don't need him on the street doing it again. And I'm talking about factual, not what you assume or what you think happened. But a factual thing, you caught the person in the act. Those are different situations. But for true, people run out to take the lives of people for things that don't cost for that. So is Bob wrong? No. But Bob is right. Bob is right. All the things he experiences them. And if you see, people will go online and say they are true, but in public they won't admit it. Because that's another thing too. You know, the bold people behind keyboard and the bold people in front of a camera. Two different group of people we are dealing with. People we have to do better because it doesn't look good. We have now a Caucasian man out here talking about everything that happened for the 22 years he was in Jamaica. And the stealing culture and the lying culture is a dangerous culture that needs to go. And I realize that the stealing and the lying culture is very common, not only in Jamaica, but it seems to be broad in every black group everywhere. Not everyone is doing it, but the percentage of people that are doing these things is not good. And that's where I think Bob problem lies, was generalizing. He left out a little small 20%, and that 20% does count. And as I said before, I've experienced some of these things with friends, family, and people also that I don't know. For my daughter's birthday, the party was supposed to start at 5, and my family members, they show up, some of them at 7. And it's not the first time. I went home and I planned my mother 83 birthday party, the 15th of December last year. I told specific family member that it was a surprise generational party. My mom is 83. How many times is my mom going to become 83? Question. And I notified key family members and said, some other family members do not notify them because they can't keep a secret. One of my sisters can't keep a secret. Okay, let me be honest. 2 of my sisters cannot keep a secret. So those sisters, their children were fully aware of what was going on, but they could not know because they would tell my mother. Now, when it's time for the party to start, 5 o'clock, remember, I flew from the Netherlands just for the party to give my mom that 5-generation party, because she is now lived to see children, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, whatever, 5-generation party. One of my nieces was supposed to notify her brothers living overseas, one in Canada, one in the United States, that was notified in advance about the surprise party. Did not only show up half hour late, she follow me, so she gonna see this. She did not only show up half hour late, but my niece showed up, totally did not remember to notify her brother in Canada and her other brother in the United States, so they could all come in on WhatsApp and celebrate with us. So it was a last minute thing. What if they weren't at home? Key grandchildren would have been missing from the function. Now these are the children that my older sister have, my sister that passed away. So her children is key for my mom to see on this moment. And my niece almost jacked that up. My other niece invites her friends, her besties. I am not that mad at it, because when they came, even though it was a generational party and they weren't supposed to be there, they actually help out to share the food and everything. So they turned out to be an asset. But they weren't supposed to be there. Another instruction that was not followed. My brother, who is a very well-established businessman across the island of Jamaica, can't even call his name. You understand? Showed up 45 minutes late. And when I call him, his story to me is that he's not the one who is late, it's his kids that are late. The youngest child my brother have is 16. There are 2 cars in my brother's garage. Some of his children have license to drive. Not only that, we have one that's going to sit the bar, so she have legal information in her head, she have license to drive. Why is it that my brother need to show for these children to the party? When there is a car, extra car sitting in the garage, leave them there. So these are the things that are very annoying. Family do it, friends do it. You can't make appointment with anyone to go anywhere. They don't show up on time. They always come half hour late, 1 hour late, 2 hours late, and with a big old excuse. It's annoying and it's frustrating. Bob isn't wrong. Bob is right. I'm standing with Bob. We can cuss all we want. We need to change some of these things. And one thing I want to say about the Bob situation. Bob's situation was extra difficult because he's Caucasian, and we have been embedded, especially the less exposed one, to believe that all white people are rich. And so they were going at Bob in the financial aspect very bad. But I think other Jamaicans that return home have life differently. That's one thing, because you do get life, they treat you differently. Another thing is, when you don't have the finances to live among the higher class people, you have to deal with the lower class attitude. So, Bob, if you're living with the lower class people, you have to deal with the lower class attitude. It's just a fact. So if you don't want to deal with those things when you go to Jamaica to live, or any other country to live, to be very honest, then you're going to have the money to live amongst the people that don't function like how the lower class people function, because higher class people are not going to beg your money. Okay? If you live at Spring Farm, nobody's going to beg you money. If you live at Uptown, the places and the spaces you're going where people are more financially stable. Some of the things you won't have to deal with. So some of the things you can eliminate by putting yourself in a financial position where certain things you don't have to deal with. I was in Jamaica last year and I was asked for money several times, but most of the times when I was asked for money is because I went into the old neighborhood I used to live in, where my parents still live. They make a huge house, 6 bedroom, 4 bathroom, 2 kitchen, 2 dining, just a whole mansion that evolved into a terrible neighborhood. They refuse to move. My brother and I have been trying to get them out for the past 10 years. They don't want to move. They want to stay there. My father is suffering from dementia now, so putting him in a new environment is not going to work anymore. And I went there and someone I knew asked me for money and said it was his birthday. I gave him 5,000. December, when I go for my mother birthday, that same person come again claiming it's the birthday. So that person was born in July and also in December. Go figure. But those things happen to me now because I have to go there. If I never went back into that neighborhood, I would have never had that experience. So some of the things you experience based on the places and the spaces that you go. Apart from that, we do have a beautiful island, and Bob is right. Our natural stuff that we have, our natural resources, are magnificent to have a look at. But a large percent of our people are very dysfunctional. One of the reasons why I decided not to get my hair done anymore in the Netherlands by Africans is because they always show up an hour late, 2 hour late. I have one Nigerian girl made an appointment for her to come to my house, get my hair done 9 o'clock in the morning. She showed up 1 o'clock. My pastor said I should have canceled it from 10. It's an attitude that we have all over the place. So not only Jamaicans have it, but showing up late seems to be consistent within the black community. People from Curacao love to show up late. St. Martin, Aruba, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon. It's just, I don't know, something is innately wrong with us while we don't respect each other and each other time and showing up on time, but we do it with other people. People, we don't need to fuss about what Bob said. We need to try and change the behavior, because our behavior are terrible, terrible, terrible. Bob is not the problem. Our behavior is the problem, and he's showing to us what we all know. Don't deny it. Try and change it. That's it. I don't have anything else to say.